With an estimated net worth of $1 to $1.5 million, Dr. Paul leaves behind more than just financial security. He also leaves behind a legacy that moves his family to tears because of how much he cared about animals, especially horses. Dr. Paul's wealth was built on years of hard work, love, and sacrifice, but it's also the result of personal struggles, including the heartbreaking death of his grandson. Join us as we look into the amazing fortune Dr. Paul leaves behind, one that will last for generations. Growing up on a dairy farm, John Paul was surrounded by animals from a young age. It was on this farm, with its green pastures and simple way of life, that he became interested in veterinary medicine. As a child, he was fascinated by the health of the farm animals and often helped take care of them. This early experience motivated him to learn more about animal health and began a lifelong career in veterinary care. After the war, there weren't many jobs available in the Netherlands, but Dr. Paul was able to find work. 108. Did not give up on his dream. He also studied veterinary science at Utrecht University, which is known as one of the best places in the world to study veterinary medicine. It was here that he gained important experience and knowledge that helped him reach his destiny. For Dr. Paul, veterinary medicine was not just a job, it was his passion and mission. The Netherlands, on the other hand, couldn't hold his growing ambitions, so in the 1970s, after meeting his future wife Diane, he made the brave decision to move to the United States, where they settled down. He moved to Michigan and started working at a local veterinary practice. This was the start of a new chapter in his life that was full of challenges. Getting used to a new culture while also establishing himself professionally wasn't easy, but his hard work and caring attitude quickly earned him a reputation as a dedicated veterinarian. He took care of all kinds of cases, from routine checkups to emergency farm calls, often working late into the night to care for his patients. The long hours did wear him down, though, and Diane often sat by the window. Even though he loved his job, missing family dinners, school events, and bedtime stories was hard for him. These were the costs of building a better future for his family. After working hard for many years and saving money, Dr. Paul opened a clinic in Weidman, Michigan in 1981 with the help of his wife Diane. They called it Paul Veterinary Services. At first, Dr. Paul worked out of a small building and was willing to travel far to treat animals. In the beginning, it was hard to run a business in the country because of money issues and the difficulty of getting started. Diane took care of all the financial aspects of the clinic as well as housework and childcare, while Dr. Paul worked hard to reach his goals. Over time, his hard work and hands-on approach paid off, and more people joined the practice because of the rumors of his skill and dedication. As a rural veterinary surgeon, managing a clinic was difficult because of the long hours. He got separated from his family, but he knew that what he was doing was good for the future of his family. Dr. Paul thinks that wellness is just as important for pets as it is for people. To keep pets healthy, he stresses the importance of good food and regular exercise for both the pet and the owner. He also stresses the need to control a dog's weight because being overweight can cause health problems like diabetes, especially in older dogs. While cats may not have the same problems, lazy cats can still become overweight. The message is that pet care should be sensible and affordable, making it easy for families to get so that as many kids as possible can grow up with pets. Over the years, Paul Veterinary Services grew into a successful business. Because of how good he was at his job and how caring he was, people came from all over the country to see him. He also kept good relationships with farmers and people who had pets, going beyond his role as a veterinarian. Style and professionalism in dealing with his clients' anal animal won him fans who admired his dedication to his job. Finally, as the practice grew, so did Dr. Paul's reach and popularity among dental patients. He made a lot of money because he was willing to take on difficult cases that other lawyers would have avoided. His clients trusted him, but he had to pay the ultimate price to be successful professionally. He was often late for important events in his children's lives, and Diane got frustrated because she had to do most of the. While caring for his family and making sacrifices was hard, he refused to give up on his duties. Dr. Paul's veterinary career took off, but life had even bigger surprises in store. The difficulties of running a rural practice were just the start of a new chapter that would bring him fame and fortune around the world. It all began with a TV show that made the veterinarian from Michigan famous all over the world in 2011. To become a TV star, Dr. Paul. An unexpected golden opportunity knocked on the door of Paul Veterinary Services. It was a small veterinary clinic in rural Michigan that was about to become a popular reality TV show. Charles Paul, Dr. Paul's son saw an opportunity to turn his father's work into a show that would not only be about the veterinary business but also about the real life of rural farming. Charles had seen his father's dedication to animals and knew how to make the show more realistic. Having grown up in rural Michigan was a blessing because he knows how hard it is to run a farm and take care of pets, but Ella gave him the tools he needed to tell this story. He wanted to carry on his father's legacy by starting reality shows. The idea was simple, Doctor. Paul made house calls, did surgeries, and treated horses, cows, and other animals, including cats and dogs. He thought that the show's viewers would like the direct tone of his father and his genuine interest in animals. He was right. It took Joe a while to pitch the idea to different networks, but finally National Geographic Wild was interested in the show. This is how The Incredible Dr. Paul came to be. Since its premiere, the show has been a hit. Animal care and treatment alone, it was an emotional portrayal of country life driven by Dr. Paul's passion and commitment. The show was perfect for people who liked the realism of a comedy series about a veterinarian that didn't sugarcoat the job and its daily grimes from a centralized point of view. The public saw Dr. Paul's professional successes and personal setbacks. When the show first came out, a lot of people tuned in. People listened to the radio and watched TV to see and hear Dr. Paul do all kinds of surgeries and even help give birth to cows in the middle of the night. But it wasn't just the medical cases that people wanted to see, they also wanted to see Dr. Paul, who had a friendly, funny personality and a genuine love for animals and their people off camera. The birth of the show brought the Paul family money after years of hard work and struggle, but it was also a reminder of the many hours they spent working and away from their families. Running The Incredible Dr. Paul became popular in the US and other countries, making Dr. Paul famous as a vet and TV personality. However, The Incredible Dr. Paul was different from other American reality shows because it didn't add too much drama. Instead, it focused on real people, real animals, and real situations. Dr. Paul's friendly personality and the show's heartwarming and emotional stories made a deep connection with viewers. The series wasn't just about animals. People in the communities Dr. Paul worked with saw him as a trusted friend who cared deeply about the well-being of both animals and their owners. Over the years, the show has shown many memorable cases, but two stand out as especially strange. In one, Dr. Paul treated a horse that was having severe abdominal pain and found that it had been eating car tires. The horse needed an intense procedure to save its life. In another, a cow had developed a craving for dirt and gravel. The cow's strange appetite was caused by a mineral deficiency, which Dr. Paul fixed with a complicated surgery. These cases tested Dr. Paul's veterinary skills and showed how unpredictable and hands-on farm animal medicine can be. The show's success brought Dr. Paul both fame and financial stability. Its popularity on National Geographic Wild greatly increased his earnings, while his veterinary practice in rural Michigan continued to serve the community the extra money. This financial success gave Dr. Paul a sense of pride, especially since he had a hard time balancing work and family in the past. Despite his wealth, Dr. Paul stayed dedicated to his work, often working long hours to make sure animals got the care they needed. The money made by the show turned into another success story as it secured Dr. Paul's family's future for generations. As the show went on for season after season, his success allowed him to make something he never dreamed of for his family. His family talked about how much they cared about the moving scenes on the show and how thankful they were for what Dr. Paul created out of his love for animals and commitment to the community. What are your thoughts on Dr. Paul's rise to fame on TV? Before he became famous, Dr. Paul made most of his money from his veterinary clinic, which he opened in 1981 to serve the farming community and had over 20,000 patients. Even after he became famous around the world, the clinic still had. Paul's show was made in 2001. It got a lot of viewers, and he was said to be paid between $30,000 and $40,000 for each episode. However, this has gone up in recent years. With 24 seasons and over 240 episodes, the show has made millions of dollars for its net worth. It also gave Dr. Paul a chance to find other ways to make money, like selling commercials and giving speeches. Instead of ending his fame, he built it up by writing a memoir called Never Turn Your Back on an Angus Cow. Dr. Paul is known to have investments in property, especially real estate. He lives in Whitman, Michigan, on a large plot of land with a farm where he raises several animals and speculates on them. Despite his wealth, Dr. Paul lives a modest life, with one notable indulgence being a personal tour of his garage, which houses cars like a 1937 Rolls-Royce and a 1981 DeLorean. Behind these luxuries was a man who remembered where he came from and how hard he worked to make a life for himself. So Dr. Paul's wealth is much more than just money. In addition to the money he's leaving them, he's giving them stability and the knowledge that he worked hard to make sure they were happy and healthy. Dr. Paul's family must also deal with the emotional weight of his legacy. They've seen how dedicated he was to veterinary medicine and how much he cared about them. As they think about all he did, they realize how much he sacrificed. The tears they shed are for both the man they love and the money he leaves behind. His family is very proud of what Dr. Paul did for his family and the field of veterinary medicine, but they are also aware that personal losses, sacrifices, and hard times shaped his legacy, the wealth doctor. Paul will leave behind carries the weight of a man who gave everything for the people and animals he loved. His name will live on as a symbol of humility, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to his family and career. Dr. Paul's journey shows us the power of hard work and sacrifice, how to deal with stress at work, and how important family is.